What's up, everybody? We are out here in beautiful Page, Arizona today, and we are with the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park. And here is my new buddy Theo, and he is one of the owners of this amazing new Via Ferrata. So why don't you give us just a quick rundown of the course?
Yeah, the course is laid out on the Navajo Nation, and we're Upper Antelope. So if the famous Antelope Canyon, if you just go upriver from that about 4 or 5 miles, that's where we are. Yeah, we started this course, it just opened up in July. We have, on this course, we have a couple rappels.
Cool.
So you'll rappel down, it's very safe. It has a double backup system. We have an auto belay and then a traditional belay system that you'll use, so it's super safe. And then also, of course, the Via Ferrata is set up to where you use your lanyards and you just double click, and so you're always 100% attached to the wall at all times. We like Via Ferratas, but we've never heard of one being in a slot canyon.
Yeah.
And so when we got into the canyon for the first time, we realized that we couldn't walk on the bottom. Like traditionally all the other slot canyons, you just walk through the bottom and you view it from the bottom up. But because of the way this canyon is so narrow, we had to actually go through the center of the canyon. So if you think of the bottom, top, we're going right through the center. So we ended up doing a Via Ferrata through that section for about probably 300, 400 feet. So it's really cool because you get a perspective that no one else has ever seen before.
Definitely.
And we had our consultant from Flagstaff, his name's JT. I think his company's called Ascent. And then Hubbard and Merrill are the engineers that engineered our project. So all the rungs are nice and deep, and everything's set up properly for a safe adventure.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really fascinating about this course is our entire group, except for our awesome adventurer Megan, are canyoneers. So this is going to be really cool because we're going to kind of get to give her just a taste of like that canyoneering type of an adventure, you know, but it's at the same time, the rappels are going to be super safe to give her that real kind of experience. It's kind of like canyoneering and Via Ferrata had a baby together, and this is your dream child here. This is awesome. I can't wait.
Exactly. I actually grew up across the street here on the Navajo Nation. It's called Lachi. And as a kid, starting about age 8, 9, 10 years old, my uncle, which was probably 4 or 5 years older than me, would come pick us up and he'd take us down in this canyon.
Oh, nice.
And we played down in this canyon all through elementary, middle school, high school. And when you get down to the bottom, you'll see all the kids' names that are written down there. We're trying to clean it up a little bit just because we want it to look natural eventually.
Definitely.
But yeah, we played down there. And this middle section that I was talking about where the Via Ferrata is, that was a very hard place to get into, and maybe a handful of kids ever got down in there.
Oh, cool.
So it's really unique in that, so you guys are some of the first people to ever go through this canyon.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Very cool. Well, hey, thank you so much for having us out here.
Yes.
I can't wait to check out your project, and let's go have some fun.
All right, thanks for coming.
Sure.
Our adventure began with us driving up above Page and past some already pristine landscapes. Just a small heads up, the road up to Antelope Ridge Adventure Park is a little bit bumpy, and if you're driving a regular car, you might have a little bit of trouble. However, we were in our stock Ford Explorer and it made it up there with no problems. We had a really good crew for this adventure, and we were being joined by An, Megan, and Charlene. If you have any concerns about getting stuck in this narrow canyon, there are these 2 boards that give you an idea of just how tight it's going to get down there. In fact, I think the boards are actually a little bit tighter. With newfound confidence that I was not going to get stuck, we headed over and met the owners, Nicole and Theo, and their awesome guides, Blake and Angie. As Theo mentioned before, this course is brand new. So new, in fact, they are still in the process of drywalling their headquarters. But one thing that they have plenty of is top-notch gear. The cool thing about this adventure is that even if you are not experienced in Via Ferrata like we are, all you need to bring are some good hiking shoes. They even supply the helmets, even though we will be bringing our own just so we could mount our cameras to film this video. After gearing up, we headed outside to meet up with Blake and hear a couple of his trademark dad jokes before we were off on our adventure. You will be hiking in about a quarter of a mile before you get to the first rappel. A good portion of this hike is on sandstone, which can get very slippery, and that is why good footwear is very important. Another thing to keep in mind is that this Via Ferrata is on private property, so
you shall not pass!
At least not without a guide. Before we knew it, the platform for Rappel 1 was in sight, and it was time to get this party started. As we mentioned before, this rappel is backed up by an auto belay system. This is the same exact device that we use almost weekly at the climbing gym. And even if you completely panic and just let the rope run through your hands, you're going to make a nice slow descent down to the bottom.
Have you guys used figure eights before?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll hook you up on it. It's just like an ATC or any other device. So stop is behind your back. That would be stop. Go is pull it out to your side like that, and just let rope start sliding through your right hand. So your right hand is gonna, everyone's right-handed, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that does all the business. You can grab the rope with your left hand up here, but that's just balance. That will not slow you down at all. So a lot of people go like this, or they don't even hold it here. That would just be balance. So hand behind your back, that's stop. You're gonna want a big wide stance. And when you're going down the wall, if just your tippy toes are touching the rock, that means your butt is not low enough. So if your heels aren't touching the rock, that means you have to lower your butt. And to lower your butt, you just let rope go through the device without moving your feet. Cool?
We were pretty proud when Megan, who had by far the least amount of rappelling experience, volunteered to go first. She is a badass rock climber, and she has spent plenty of time with an auto belay system, so I think that really helped her comfort level.
I'm not used to someone doing this for me. It's like a luxury. I'll make you guys do this for me next time.
On went next, and he, on the other hand, is much more experienced. One of the fun things about having that auto belay backup is that you can go down the wall a little bit faster without having to worry about getting out of control. If this is your first time rappelling, this is a really great place to start. The wall here is nice and flat, and everything is pretty straightforward. One by one, everyone came down with the greatest of ease. And after our trusty guide Blake rejoined us, we would be heading to rappel number 2, which is almost directly behind rappel number 1. Our group has done quite a few rappels, but I have to say this next one is pretty cool. Also, this is where you will be using your Via Ferrata lanyards for the first time. If you've never done it before, it is very important to unclip them one at a time. It is extremely important that you never unclip both carabiners at the same time, because that means that there is nothing protecting you from falling. Here is that second rappel, and I will say that it is a little bit more challenging than the first one, but the payoff is absolutely massive because you get to rappel through this tiny window. The platform for rappel 2 is only big enough for the guide and one other person, so as we made our way through one by one, you could hear the shock and awe of the members of the group in front of us as they got a peek at what we were getting to do. The biggest challenge of the second rappel is that the auto belay device makes you want to go left down canyon. It's much easier if you rappel right down canyon and then switch to the left at the last minute to go through the window. The scenery at this point is already like something straight out of a postcard, and believe it or not, it's gonna get a whole lot better as you go along. Things are going to be tightening up quite a bit at this point, and we are heading into the first narrow section. If you have claustrophobia, this might not be the activity for you, but I must say, I have a claustrophobic moment here and there, and this canyon never bothered me. I think that it was just too pretty to focus on the squeeze. In fact, it made An want to sing a show tune.
Do it again. When you think my collection's complete. Okay, I'm done, guys.
Something that's really great to know is that if the first or second rappel scares you, or if this first squeeze is too much for you, there are bailout points at the bottom of the first and second rappel, so you can leave early. But keep watching the video, because once you see some of the amazing things that are ahead, you're gonna want to see it through to the end. We have now reached the Via Ferrata section of this canyon. Compared to some of the other Via Ferrata routes that we have done in the past, this one is pretty simple and great for beginners. If you would like to see some of the more challenging routes that we've taken on, you can click in the upper corner to see our Via Ferrata playlist. They do not recommend bringing cameras along with you on your adventure. They did supply some lanyards for our phones, but if you drop a nice camera into the canyon, there is a chance you will never see it again. Something that's really nice about doing a Via Ferrata in a slot canyon is that you're not just grabbing onto one wall like a rock climber. If you start to get tired, you can just lean back and rest on the opposing wall. This section is where the beauty of this canyon really starts to turn it up to 10. The walls here have that reddish orange hue and that smooth wavy texture that Antelope Canyon is famous for. If, or should I say when you do this, be sure to take a couple of looks down at this point. It seems like the canyon goes on forever below you and it disappears into the darkness. It's kind of creepy and kind of fun. Things are going to be tightening up over the course of the Via Ferrata section, and you are going to get pretty cozy with the wall. If you have any questions on if you will fit in this canyon, you can always give the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park a call. We'll have the number in the description below. All of the rungs here are very well and thoughtfully placed. It seemed like any time that you needed one, you just look and there it is. This made for a very nice and fluid way to traverse our way down the canyon. I think that the only tricky part was getting lost in the beauty of the canyon and passing the cliff. There were a couple of times where everyone in the group had to climb back and move their carabiners over the hanger.
What do you think so far?
So cool. This is awesome. It's like freaking Antelope Canyon but on steroid.
Wait till you get around the corner.
Yeah, like for adventure people. This is awesome. Yep.
I think we're ruined from taking regular Antelope Canyon tours at this point.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I mean, you can see it from the bottom of the canyon, or you can see it from the bottom of the canyon being quite a ways down there.
Another nice touch is that they had this first aid kit clipped to a rung about halfway through the Via Ferrata. I don't see too many ways that you can get really hurt down here, but the sandstone is quite abrasive, and if you bump into it hard enough, you could get a little bit of a scrape. We can't even begin to imagine the time and effort that went into the construction of this course. V and I have seen the drills that they use to make Via Ferrata courses, and they are really long. You don't have a ton of elbow room to work down here. One thing is for sure, no matter how hard we tried to document this experience, there's just no way to do it justice. Winding our way through these narrow corridors was such a surreal experience, and you just can't do justice with words or even video. When we reached the spot, it seemed like we couldn't go any further forward, and that's when Charlene popped out from down below. And this was the beginning of one of our favorite parts of the entire Via Ferrata, this amazing down climb. This is probably the most technical section of the Via Ferrata, but even at that, if you can comfortably climb down a ladder, I feel like you can do this too. Something that was quite appreciated is that Blake was incredibly patient this whole time. He never rushed us through any of the sections. Even though he gets to see this almost every day, he knows that our minds were being absolutely blown by what we were seeing. And never once did he push us along to the next section. That is a massive difference when you compare this tour to upper or lower Antelope Canyon tours where they're constantly rushing you through. If you're planning on heading out to do this, which you totally should, and your trip is during the rainy season, you may want to leave yourself a couple of days just for some wiggle room. Because just in case you didn't know, rain and slot canyons don't mix. Flash floods can come through here very quickly. Antelope Ridge Adventure Park keeps a very close eye on the weather, and they will cancel tours at the slightest hint of rain. While you are doing the down climb, don't forget to look up because these sandstone formations above you are absolutely surreal. Almost immediately after that down climb, you will come to the first of two dark sections. The first one is pretty short. This one had just enough light to see where you were going, but the next one is going to get really dark. But first, the canyon opened up and gave us yet another fantastic view upwards. After we crossed through a couple more beautiful chambers, it was time to once again be plunged into the darkness. We didn't fully immerse ourselves in it, however, because we ended up bringing our headlights. It's not that we're scared of the dark, we just brought our cameras and the cameras need light to work, so we needed to bring the light. If you don't bring your light though, don't worry because Blake said your eyes adjust to the darkness really quick in here. And that's a good thing because you really do need to watch your step in here. This is one of the rockiest parts of the canyon. With all of the jokes that Blake had been telling us over the course of the adventure, I was kind of expecting him to be hiding around one of these dark corners to jump out and scare us. However, no jump scares were had and soon we were back out into the light again. Since we are now walking along the very bottom of this canyon, the walls are going to be tight and where you put your feet is going to be even tighter. This means that you're going to have to watch your step as you're taking in all of these incredible views. There will also be a couple more squeezes like this one that had me wishing that I had a smaller dinner the night before. I'm just glad that we got the fry bread down the street after we got out of the canyon. I swear that we could spend all day in here just looking up at these little windows to the sky. This truly is some of nature's finest work. We soon found ourselves in this part of the canyon that has really defined stripes in the walls. I'm not sure if the stripes were caused by debris getting washed down the canyons during flash floods, but whatever caused it, it was really pretty. It's too bad that we couldn't fit our big cameras down here because we could spend hours down here photographing all of the formations. Something really cool about the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park is that even though this Via Ferrata is their first attraction, it's not going to be their last. In spring of 2025, they are planning on adding zip lines to their offerings. And we also heard about some other possible offerings, but we don't want to spill the beans on those just yet. We are now heading towards the end of the canyon, and things are easing up quite a bit. This is really nice because it gives you a chance to just really relax and enjoy the canyon. We also found the spot where Theo and his buddies carved their names into the rock as children. And then we came to a little bit of a surprise that I had no idea about. I thought that there were only 2 rappels on this canyon, but it turns out that there are 3, and they saved the biggest for last. This rappel measures in at right around 60 feet, which is pretty stout. But it also features that auto belay system, which makes it very safe. The most fun part, in my opinion, was this gap right here in the middle. If you're feeling froggy, you can jump out and sail right over it. Or if you're a little more timid, you can always take it slow and work your way into the crack. This definitely took us back to some of our awesome canyoneering adventures, which if you haven't seen those videos, you can click in the upper corner to see the full playlist. Megan impressed us once again, going full send down that last rappel. You'd almost swear that she'd been doing this for more than just a couple hours. The rest of the group, which I had no doubt would crush it, made it look so easy, because it is. If it wasn't such a hassle to carry around, I swear I would love to bring this auto belay into the canyons with us. Of course, Blake came down, achieving major style points, and unfortunately, this was the end of the technical section. But on the bright side, it is far from the end of the beauty, and you have a decent little cardio workout ahead of you. Don't worry, you don't have to climb this part. While the entrance hike to this canyon is only a quarter mile, the exit is 3/4 of a mile with 300 feet of elevation gain. Along the hike, we passed what appeared to be fossilized seashells or barnacles, as well as other picturesque landscapes as the canyon walls peeled away, revealing the environment to us. We also saw this bush that has some pretty trippy side effects, but if you rub your fingers on the leaves, your fingers smell like peanut butter. There are just a couple more sections where you will be clipping in with your Via Ferrata lanyards. It's nothing insanely sketchy, but as we saw earlier, that sandstone can get a little bit slippery at times. I must admit, walking through these sandy washes made me just a little bit jealous of Theo. How cool would it have been to have this area as a playground as a child? I hope that everyone is ready for a workout because it is time to gain that 300 feet of elevation. While you do not need to be a professional rock climber or elite athlete to do this adventure, a moderate level of fitness is definitely recommended. Luckily, some of the rocks have these steps chiseled into them to make your life a little bit easier, but that is definitely not going to keep you from breathing heavily as you climb your way up towards the top. You can definitely say that the end of this experience is breathtaking in more ways than one. We also spotted cryptobiotic soil, which you can see on the left side of the screen on our way out. That is pretty fascinating stuff because it is a soil that is actually a living organism. We are now going to be clipping in one more time, and we're going to stay clipped in all the way up to the very top. Things are going to be getting just a little bit more technical as you climb, but if you've made it this far, you'll be just fine. If you are going to be taking this tour in the summer, it obviously gets very hot out here, and at certain times of the day, this climb can be fully exposed to the sun, so be sure to dress appropriately. You will be working your way along this ledge before it's time to make one final push up to the top. The good thing is the final climb isn't that bad, it's more of a steep hill than anything. And with that, you are one short hike away from conquering the Via Ferrata at the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park. I would like to thank our crew for coming all the way out from Northern and Southern California to join us on this adventure. I would like to thank our amazing guide Blake for the awesome adventure and of course the dad jokes. And of course, I would like to send a massive thank you out to the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park. Words cannot express how much we appreciate you for letting us come out and take on this epic adventure. For all the information about how to book your own tour, check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. Feel free to let us know what you would like to see in future adventures, and for all the information about the Antelope Ridge Adventure Park as well as other awesome Arizona adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.